بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. حدثنا 695 حدثنا علي بن عبد الله قال حدثنا ابن مهدي عن سفيان الثوري عن سلمة بن كهيل عن كريب عن ابن عباس قال بت عند خالتي ميمونة فقام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأتى حاجته فغسل وجهه ويديه ثم نام ثم قام فأتى القربة وأطلق شناقها ثم توضأ وضوءا بين وضوءين لم يكثر وقد أبلغ فصلى فقمت فتمطيت كراهية أن يرى أني كنت أتقيه فتوضأت فقام يصلي فقمت عن يساره فأخذ بأذني فأدارني عن يمينه فتتامت صلاته من الليل 13 ركعة ثم اضطجع فنام حتى نفخ وكان إذا نام نفخ فآذنه بلال بالصلاة فصلى ولم يتوضأ وكان في دعائه اللهم اجعل في قلبي نورا وفي سمعي نورا وعن يميني نورا وعن يساري نورا وفوقي نورا وتحتي نورا وأمامي نورا وخلفي نورا وأعظم لي نورا. قال كريب وسبعا في التابوت فلقيت رجلا من ولد العباس فحدثني بهن فذكر وعصبي ولحمي ودمي وشعري وبشري وذكر خصلتين. Okay, بسم الله.
Ibn Abbas said, I spent the night at the house of my aunt Maymuna. The Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, got up to answer a call of nature and then washed his hands and face and slept. Then he got up and took this water skin and loosened its strap and did a medium sort of wudu and no more, but he did it adequately. Then he prayed. I stood up and went slowly, not wanting him to see that I was observing him. Then he stood up to pray, and I stood at his left.
Interestingly, so says كراهتي أن يرى أني كنت أتقيه. What does أتقيه mean? How do you usually hear that word? أتقي, يتقون. What's that word?
Taqwa.
Exactly, taqwa, right? So notice he's using the word taqwa. It doesn't mean to ward off someone's punishment. It means he said, I didn't want him to, what was it? I didn't want him, 1 second, please. I didn't want him I didn't want him to know that I was watching him. So taqwa here means watching, right? You're watching Allah, watching out for Allah, right? Okay, makes sense? Okay, go ahead.
His complete night prayer consisted of 12 rakats. Then he lay down and went to sleep until he snored. When he slept, he would snore. Allah gave the adhan for the morning prayer, and he prayed without doing wudu. One of his supplications was, "Oh Allah, put light in my heart and light in my hearing, and light on my right and light on my left, and a light above me, and a light behind me, and a light in front of me, and a light behind him, and make any light great."
So what does light do? What can you do with light that you can't do with darkness?
You can see.
So things make sense. Allah make life make sense. Like imagine, for example, you have cancer. It all makes sense, right? It's fine. It makes sense. Not a problem. You know, like it's all making sense. Imagine if you're a millionaire, it doesn't make any sense. Like things are random. like nihilism. There's no point in anything. I don't understand anything. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what's the point in what I'm doing? Where's this going? Like, that's a huge pain. Where like, I don't see the point in any of these things. So in the Jahiliyyah, they had this word dahr, right? Dahr, which is dahr is a term comes in the Quran, comes in Hadith, which is like dumb fate, like the meaninglessness of life, right? La yuhlikuna illa dahr. We only die because of like the randomness of life. It's just like chaotic. It's just stupid. There's no logic to things. It's just random, right? And it comes in Hadith Qudsi, that the son of Adam curses random fate, whereas I am random fate, right? I change night into day. Things are not random. I'm making them happen. What was I going to say? It was randomness. A Jahili poet, he talks about like the pointlessness and stupidity of war and death, right? He says, رَأَيْتُ الْمَنَايَا خَبْطَ أَشْوَاءَ. He says, I see death as the dumb, pointless, meaningless footsteps of a camel, of a night blind camel. Like she's walking around, she can't see because she's night blind. She's ashwa, and then it's just like she just steps on somebody and like kills them, or steps on somebody and breaks their foot, and then they can't walk the rest of their life. It's just like stupid, right? You have the word ashwa'i, right? Ashwa'i means chaotic, right? That's from the she camel that can't see at night. It's like random, right? So light is the opposite of that. Like, how do I understand this? How do I compute this? Right? How do I process things? This is light. And things become very nice, right? As opposed to, I can't see things. I can't see the big picture. I can't see what's going on. It's very painful. Okay, Bismillah. Sorry, I'm just writing some notes here. Okay. So it says 9. So there's a whole thing that he's not. Oh, and there was one correction we made last week anyway. So he said So he said he took my hand and brought me around to his left. It says he took me by the ear and brought me around to his left, not the hand. Right? Udhun. Okay. Now, how old was Ibn Abbas at this time? He's quite young. So Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet passed away, Ibn Abbas was 13. Okay, so maybe Ibn Abbas was 10 at this time, right? Something like that. Okay, and then we're going to see the same hadith, I believe, with a different version. Yeah. So the previous version was narrated by his freed slave Qurayb. That was Qurayb. This next one is the same hadith, but narrated from Sa'id ibn Jubair. So Sa'id ibn Jubair was this huge, like mufti of Mecca, and he, I believe, he was part of the Zubayrid rebellion. I believe, so he was actually executed by the Umayyads, right? But he's this huge Sa'id ibn Jubair, really big scholar of Mecca, of the students of Ibn Abbas. So this is Sa'id ibn Jubair. So Sa'id ibn Jubair narrates from Ibn Abbas, who says, حدثنا عبد العزيز بن عبد الله قال حدثني عبد العزيز بن محمد عن المجيد بن سهيل بن عبد الرحمن عن يحيى بن عباد عن أبي هبيرة عن سعيد بن جبير عن عبد الله بن عباس قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قام من الليل فصلى فقضى صلاته يثني على الله بما هو أهله ثم يكون في آخر كلامه اللهم اجعل لي نورا في قلبي واجعل لي نورا في سمعي واجعل لي نورا في بصري واجعل لي نورا عن يميني ونورا عن شمالي واجعل لي نورا من بين يدي ونورا من خلفي وزدني نورا وزدني نورا وزدني نورا. Go ahead, Bismillah.
Abdullah ibn Abbas said, when the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, prayed the night prayer and finished his prayer, glorifying Allah as he deserves, he said at the end of it, O Allah, give me a light in my heart, and give me a light in my hearing, and give me a light in my sight. Give me a light on my right and a light on my left, and give me a light in front of me and a light behind me, and increase me in light. Increase me in light, and increase me in light.
Okay, i.e. help me, give me ever increasing context. You see the bigger concept. Spirituality is the ability to contextualize, right? You can't contextualize. You can't put yourself in the bigger context. So light gives you the bigger context. You zoom out, okay, and zoom out and zoom out and zoom out. Oh yeah, this is the context. Otherwise you don't know what's going on. Okay. We can call it spiritual, or we can call it spiritual literacy, the ability to read things properly. Somebody is rude to you, what does that mean? Somebody's nice to you, what does that mean? Right? So somebody's nice to you, oh, they are the source of good. No, Allah is a source of good, and Allah has helped me through this person. Right? Somebody's rude to you, oh, they're the source of badness. No, Allah sent this person to me to test me. Easy. Right? This makes sense, right? Things make sense with light. Right? And then you see Allah, right? Light makes you see Allah. You're with Allah, ma'iyatullah, right? So if you think of Bani Israel, right? Bani Israel, they're all running away from Fir'aun. Fir'aun's chasing them. They get to the sea, and then right, inna lamudrakun. That's it. They got us. We're dead, right? The context that they see is we tried, but we failed. And these people, we ran away from them, but now they've got us. That's it. Our life is in their hands. So what does Sayyidina Musa say? قال إن معي ربي سيهدين. Allah is with me. So Sayyidina Musa has light, so he sees the big concept, right? Right? It's a totally different picture. When you see the people who are oppressing you are being sent by Allah is very different to, to being like, you see things as in you're frustrated. How do these people allow to how does Allah let these people oppress me? How does Allah let this harm come to me? Allah sent you the harm. He didn't let it happen. He sent you the harm. Right? You see this big picture. You see everything's coming from Allah. Everything's part of this big picture for you to benefit from every scenario. Right? And it's just all good for you. Right? Everything is perfect. Everything's part of the whole picture. It all makes sense. As opposed to not making sense of anything. It's all confusing. It's all frustrating. It's all annoying. Okay. Exactly, tranquility, right? Even fear, right? I'm being chased by a brown bear. Right? Would I fear the grizzly bear if I see Allah pushing it towards me and Allah holding it back from me? You're not going to fear it. So you don't fear things. If you have the big picture, you don't fear things and you don't hope in things, right? Things don't change you because you see the big picture, right? It's like right now, like think about like there's probably like a huge like war happening between two groups of bacteria, like on your desk, like which one is taking over, but it's dwarfed, right? Problems things are dwarfed, right? So here's your life, you step out, the fact that you lost your job, or the fact that the economy is falling apart, or the fact that you may or may not have a disease and it may or may not be curable, and you may or not have a future, and you may or may not, like, all those things are dwarfed by the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? It's a concentric circles of bigger and bigger things, and then what's the big circle is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar, right? وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You don't care. If Allah's, like who is it? Omar Mukhtar, right? The freedom fighter from Libya. He was told, the Italians, they have airplanes. You don't have airplanes. The Italians are going to come bomb you. Okay? So he said, let me ask you a question. The airplanes, are they above Allah's throne or beneath Allah's throne? So, well, they're beneath Allah's throne. So he said, okay, not a big deal then, right? So he's looking at the big context, right? Like Allah has sent these airplanes. Allah is in control of these things, right? There is no battle between Allah and the bad people. It's just Allah. وهو القاهر فوق عباده. He's always, right? والواحد القهار. He is the one, the ever vanquishing. There is no time where Allah ever loses. Simple, right? So Allah is always winning. The Muslims are always winning if they do what Allah wants. If Allah gives them power, sometimes doesn't, that's all for their benefit, right? Everything's for your benefit as long as you do what Allah wants. Okay, 697. حدثنا إسماعيل قال حدثنا مالك عن أبي الزبير المكي عن طاووس بن يماني عن عبد الله بن عباس قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قام إلى الصلاة من جوف الليل قال اللهم لك الحمد أنت نور السماوات والأرض ومن فيهن ولك الحمد أنت قيام السماوات والأرض ولك الحمد أنت رب السماوات والأرض ومن فيهن أنت الحق ووعدك الحق ولقاءك حق والجنة حق والنار حق والساعة حق اللهم لك أسلمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وإليك أنبت وبك خاصمت وإليك حاكمت فاغفر لي ما قدمت وما أخرت وما أسررت وما أعلنت أنت إلهي لا إله إلا أنت. Go ahead, Bismillah.
Abdullah ibn Abbas said, when the messenger of Allah, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, rose to pray in the middle of the night, he would say, O Allah, yours is the praise. You are the light of the heavens and the earth, and whoever is in them. Yours is the praise. You are the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and whoever is in them. You are the truth, and your promise is true, and the meeting with you is true. The garden is true, the fire is true, and the hour is true. O Allah, I have surrendered to you, and I believe in you. I have trusted in you, and I repent to you. I argue by you, and I have come to you for judgment. Forgive me my past and future wrong actions, what I conceal and what I show. You are my God. There is no God but you.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, what was it? Upon you alone do I rely. To you I have done inaba. Right? Al-inaba is to totally turn from everything to him. Right? Bika khasamt, my arguments are for the sake of Allah. So you only get into an argument if the following is the case. Right? For example, I'm living with Mustafa and he didn't wash his plates. So I'm like, bro, you didn't wash your plate. So you say, Fareed, why did you say that word? Bro, you didn't wash your plate. You had an argument, or you started an argument. And he's like, and then Mustafa says, no, I did. So you only have that argument if the following conditions are there. You die, you go in the grave, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Mustafa, I want you to go back to life and defend my cause by defending yourself. So he goes back and says, Fareed, actually, I did wash my plate. Right? So there's most 99.999% of arguments are you defending yourself. Right? It's not bika khasamt. You're not doing khisam through Allah, you're doing khisam through yourself. Right? Somebody is saying that you're a fault and you don't want to be labeled a fault. Somebody's saying you have to do this and you don't want to do it. Right? Whereas if I say, for example, hey Mustafa, you didn't wash your plate. In reality, it's my plate. Okay? Mustafa knows that I didn't wash my plate and my plate is in the sink. And he said, and I'm saying that he didn't do it. So he can just say, yeah, I'm not defending myself. I don't need to defend myself. I need to defend Allah's cause. And so it's fine. I'll just wash his plate, not a problem. As long as they're not going to harm me, as long as they're not going to affect my life. Yeah. So most 99% of arguments are not like this. وَبِكَ خَاصَمْتَ there be nafsi khasamt, right? You're arguing through your nafs, through your own ego. Right? Who's right and who's wrong? right? Whereas, so that's a key thing is, can you accept that you're wrong even though you're not wrong, right? Um, Amin Al-Umari, Mustafa, he told me this joke. He said there was this Yemeni kid, and he says, or Yemeni young man, he says, Dad, I want to get married. Does everyone know the story? The kid who says to his dad he wants to get married. Okay, no worries. So this Yemeni kid, teenager, he's like, Dad, I want to get married. So the dad says, apologize. And the kid's confused, like, the dad, I'm just asking, I want to get married. He's like, apologize. It's like, I don't get it. Like, I'm just asking to get married. He says, apologize. He's like, yeah, but I didn't do anything. So yeah, there we go. Does it make sense? Like, you need to learn to apologize even though you didn't do anything. Before you think about getting married, you need to have that in your mind. Like, you are not going to be continually defending yourself, right? So, like, what's it called? You always park so far away from the shop. And you're like, hang on a minute, when was the last time I parked the car, Aslan? When was the last time I even dropped you off at a shop? When was the last time I even parked far away? And number two, it's not even far away. It's like, how is that even far? You know what I'm saying? So now you have this argument. Say, no, I'm defending the truth. Number one, when you say always, that's not true because I don't usually drop you off. Number two, we're not far. And number three, whatever, something else. So that is not akhlaq. Oh no, I'm defending the truth. Habibi, don't defend the truth. You don't need to defend the truth. There's a million other things to defend. So yeah, I'm really sorry. Right? So this is wabika khasat. Only for you do I defend, do I argue. I don't argue for anything else. You don't argue for the sake of your nafs. Right? You're so lazy. No, I'm not. You don't need to say that. It's okay. As opposed to, or I come up to you saying, hey, Mustafa, you owe me money. And he's like, so now so are you going to defend the fact that, so here, for example, Mustafa has a limited amount of funds, and if he lets me wrong him, he will not be able to do other things that Allah wants. So now he defends billah or bika khasam, say, no, actually, I don't owe you the money, right? I actually need this money back. Like, it is actually your fault, you know? So you're calling up a company trying to get your money back. It's like, billah, through Allah. Like, Allah wants me to get this money back. Like, if I were to die, I would try and come back from the grave to get this money back. I would spend 2 hours on the phone trying to convince them that this money is mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just my nafs, but most of the time it's just your nafs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Fakhri, they gave him a C, and it's like, how on earth did I get a C? That's impossible. That's impossible. And so he's like, am I defending myself for the sake of myself? No. But this is going to affect my grades, which is going to affect my university, affects my job. So I'm actually going to go back and say, hey, this does not make sense. How on earth did I get a C? I do not think I got a C. Can I please look? I want to speak to the admin. I want to look at the grade. I want to review this. And you're like, oh, actually, it's wrong. You know? وَإِلَيْكَ حَاكَمْتَ, and unto you do I arbiter. Right? I put Allah is, you go by the Sharia, right? And this is what happens. Everybody follows the Sharia in food and prayer. Sharia doesn't apply in anything other than food and prayer, right? So what does that mean? It means before you do that contract, you ask, is that contract halal? That's what it means, right? That's what we mean by by doing muhakama. Is that so? What was I going to say? Was Muhammad Hassan Shaybani, right, the author of the Muwatta Imam Muhammad, he was asked, please write a book on zuhud, on unattachment to the dunya. So he wrote a book called Kitab al-Kasb, how to make halal money. Because if you make halal money, give me 1 second, please. Can everybody hear the Quran in the background?
No.
No. Okay. So here's an example of mukhasama anillah, right? I'm not saying that I'm a good person, right? So my kids are doing Quran next door, and the Quran is too loud. Okay. So, okay, why do I need the Quran to be quiet so I can teach? So I'm realizing I can't focus because of the Quran. Oh, so is it because I'm personally annoyed? Like, hey, turn it down, guys. I'm personally annoyed. That's one kind of argument. That's not good. But then it's like it's not for myself. It's so that I can actually teach the class, right? For the sake of Allah, right? So these are different kind of arguments. What we were talking about was yeah, so Imam Muhammad, they asked, write a book on zuhud, like tell me about people who pray all night and people who fast all day. He's like, yeah, I'll tell you about them. They're the kind of people that before they do a contract, they find out whether it's halal or not. Before you invest, halal, right? You have a contract, check it with the mufti. Is this okay? They have these criteria. Is that okay? Is that halal, right? Is there I'm going to sign this, right? If it's not halal, yeah, but I want it anyway. That's called attachment to the dunya, right? When you do the haram, obviously people only do the haram because they love the dunya more than the akhirah, obviously, right? And you only give up the dunya when it's haram because you love the akhirah more than the dunya, right? وَبِكَ خَاصَمْتُ وَإِلَيْكَ حَكَمْتُ فاغفر لي ما قدمت وما أخرت وما so وما أسررت وما أعلنت. Forgive me every single thing I've done, right? لا إله إلا أنت, right? Okay. um okay, 698, we did that one. Oh, we did not do that one. Okay, 98. حدثنا وليد بن صالح قال حدثنا عبيد الله بن عمرو عن ابن عمرو عن زيد بن أبي أنيسة عن يونس بن خباب عن نافع بن جبير بن مطعم عن ابن عمر قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يدعو اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في ديني وأهلي واستر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي واحفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن يساري ومن فوقي وأعوذ بك أن أغتال من تحتي. Okay, go ahead, 698.
Ibn Umar said, the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, used to make this supplication. O Allah, I ask you for pardon and good health in this world and the next. O Allah, I ask you for good health in my deen and my family. Veil my faults and assuage my terror. Guard me before me, behind me, on my right and my left, and above me. I seek refuge with you from unexpected destruction from beneath me.
So remember doing this dua at school, Mustafa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a concept that I want everybody to understand. Okay. There is the Sunday school kid, okay, or the Sunday school teacher. Here is a textbook that the mosque has chosen. Here's a list of du'as. You say these du'as, is all great. Okay, that's one level of interaction with the deen. Okay, but the question that we need to move to, which is you are now the sheep in the religion, which is fine. You're the sheep, you just follow, right? But there's a certain group of these people that need to become the farmer. The farmer, it has a different way of looking at the farm. Where does the farm come from? Who pays for the farm? How's the farm being funded? Where did it come from? How does it continue? How can it be protected? What are its risks? Okay, so you're now the farmer. What is the farmer called? This is the person who's going to now keep the system going. So most Muslims can be sheep, meaning they just do what other people do. That's fine. Okay, but there needs to be certain people who are farmers, meaning they're looking after the situation. So now you shift from kid at school, Islamic school, who does a dua and focuses like everybody else and memorizes dua and they keep doing it. That's one thing. And then you shift from that to the person who says, hang on a minute, where on earth is this dua? You say, oh, here's one source for it, Adab al-Mufrad by Imam Bukhari. And then you're looking and it says, where is this hadith? It's like, oh, it's not in Sahih Bukhari. So what does that tell us then? It's not in Sahih Bukhari, but it's in Adab al-Mufrad. What does it tell us?
It's not good enough for his authentic hadith book.
So basically, you taught me to make. You basically told me to do du'as that the Prophet never even said.
Well, maybe it's like doesn't meet one of his criteria, but it's still like
So
reputable enough.
is it reliable or is it not reliable?
It's not as reliable as his other hadiths from this.
Okay, so it's not super reliable. Okay, so number one, Mustafa has in his mind now that that reliability is of shades. There's shades of reliability, and the question is not is it reliable or not, is it reliable enough for this, right? So it's not reliable enough to put it into Sahih Bukhari. Is it reliable enough to prove halal and haram or obligation? No, it's not. Is it reliable enough as a dua? Yeah. And it's a kind of hadith that you'd find in Adab al-Mufrad, but not in Sahih Bukhari. Okay. What else did you notice, Mustafa, about the hadith? Is it different to the dua that we used to say?
No.
اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أسألك اللهم إني أسألك العافية في ديني وأهلي واستر عوراتي. Isn't something missing? العفو والعافية في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي. That's the same. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي. That's the same. But for it, there's some words that's like different. Like it's not really the same. The same thing's missing. So now you say, well, hang on a minute. So the world that we live in the Sunday school person, the kid at Islamic school or whatever it is, that you just like, oh, it's just there. The dua is just there. It's on a piece of paper. That's well, the processor didn't put it on the piece of paper, did he? Right. So what you're going to find then is there's different versions of hadiths. Oh yeah, that makes sense, right? Different versions of hadith based on different narrators. So you're going to have this version here in Adab al-Mufrad, right? And then here my editor says hadithun sahihun akhrajahu al-Bazzar. So it's also there in Bazzar, right? And there's another hadith like it. Where is it? So he says in chapter 573. Where's chapter 573? It's going to come way later. 573. 573. Oh, okay. Notice. So this is different. Why is it different? So this is from Ibn Umar. This is Nafi' ibn Jubair from Ibn Umar here. This self-same hadith is going to be repeated in another place. So it's hadith 698. It's also hadith. It's also hadith 1200. So when you say the hadith is in Bukhari, where in Bukhari? The hadith might come 7 times in Bukhari, by the way. Right? So you're like, which number? Where is it in Bukhari? This hadith is in Adab al-Mufrad. One might come twice with 2 different narrations. Okay? So again, the Sunday school kid versus the farmer, the one who's looking after the system. Right? Oh, it's in 2 different places. Here it says اللهم إني أسألك العفو اللهم أسألك العافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استمر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي. اللهم احفظني من بيني. And it's basically the same thing. So here, this hadith is now it's in the four of the Sunan. It's not in Bukhari or Muslim because it's not on the level of Bukhari or Muslim. It's narrated by Imam Ahmad. It's narrated by Ibn Hibban and Hakim. So you're going to find it in lots of different places, right? Does that make sense? So this is this difference. So now what you're going to do is not just know that, just not conceptually, is I'm actually going to buy all of these books, right? So now you are a preserver of it. You're a farmer. I'm going to buy the Muslim. I'm going to buy these four books, Ibn Hibban, Hakim, and I'm going to open all of them, and I'm going to show you where the hadith is in all of these sources. And on top of that, I'm going to bring in some criticism. Here, this hadith is also narrated by a Bazzar. If it's in Musnad Bazzar, what does that mean? What does Al-Haythami say about it? Right? So this is how the deen is protected. Okay? So the sheep can exist and procreate and produce wool and food, etc. Right? But they need a shepherd. Somebody in the community needs to know the system and have the books. Does that make sense? Right? I know the system. What's going on? What is fiqh? Where are the books on fiqh? How does this work? How can I find the answer? As opposed to, oh, I heard it's halal. You know? So there's hearsay religion as hearsay, and then there's religion as inheritance. Does that make sense? I've inherited this religion. I understand how it works. I have the books, and ideally, I even have the manuscripts, or at least I know where the manuscripts are. So you have a critical edition, right? So today, for example, if you buy a book that's not a critical edition, they will not mention the manuscripts. So therefore, you didn't really look after the situation. You know what I'm saying? You didn't look after it because you don't know where it is. Does that make sense? Like if you were the only person, it would actually fall apart. So we have to have people who the deen actually rests upon, like the deen like rests upon their shoulders, right? Tajweed. How's your tajweed? Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's not wrong. Do you have ijaza? No. Oh, so basically, if everybody else died, the Quran would be lost, right? Because you wouldn't keep it going. So we need somebody who's like, your tajweed is not good. It is perfect. Like it is not 99%. It's 100%. And not 100% according to one sheikh, like 10, 13 different people. They're all like, yeah, he's really good, right? Fiqh. Oh, I know about halal haram. That's great. But have you studied fiqh properly? Do you know the books? Do you have the books? Physically have the books? Do you know where these things come from? Do you know how this thing works? Right? Such that if everybody died around you, you could keep it going. Does that make sense? So this is the mentality we have to shift towards, right? And sometimes you can be in between, right? You could be the sheep that is vice representative of the milk production for the shepherd or whatever it is. Like you're in charge of some things, right? But we have to shift from I'm just I go to the masjid and masjid tells me stuff. Here's a sheikh, as one of my teachers says, I don't want a bunch of people following me around. I want people that if I went off, they wouldn't. Does that make sense? Because the deen doesn't work on, oh, I sat with shuyukh. I listened to lectures. That's not how the deen works. The deen works on 1% of those people who sit and listen, they actually are inheriting that knowledge. They understand that system. They know these discussions. They can answer questions like Mustafa's answering right now. Is like, yeah, there's gradients of reliability, right? Because a lot of people don't see things like that, right? Right. I remember, his mother teaches in Islamic school. She asked me that question. She's like, is this book reliable? Right. And I spent like 5 years trying to tell the teachers, like, listen, there's gradients of reliability, right? So you have concepts, you have facts and concepts, and you know how to use these books and you know what's going on. Does that make sense? So you're an heir to something, right? And you can in various different degrees, and ultimately that you're an heir, like at least something you could like you would know this thing and be able to pass it on to the next generation. Does that make sense? right? That talk I gave Fakhri, right, in your masjid, right? Like it was like 16 hours or 10 to 16 hours of why we follow the form of their hip. It took actually quite a long time, right? But it's like, can you? So there's one person who's like, yeah, I'm just Shafi. Okay, but why are you Shafi? I don't know. So you're on sheep mode, right? That's on sheep mode. Like, why'd you read the Bible? I don't know. Okay. So then you're on sheep mode. So we have to start moving away from sheep mode and you move towards shepherd mode. Like I am actually looking after this flock. You know? Like I understand what's going on here. I can analyze things. I can break things down. I don't just say, oh, Sheikh so and so said this, right? And even in your education, right? In your education, it's like, okay, I just heard the class. There we go. But then it's like, no, 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 I want to know where the book is. I want to be able to read the book. I want to see how to use the book, right? Because in reality, that's what a teacher is doing, is like teaching you how to do his job. He's trying to get you to sit in his shoes, take a seat, right? And that might mean that you disagree with the teacher, right? Last night we were in a class with Tirmidhi in Sahih Jami' Tirmidhi, and he Tirmidhi spent a long time with Imam Bukhari and used to debate issues of hadith criticism. And so last night he's like, yeah, I asked Bukhari about this. He said X, but I think Y. You might disagree with the teacher. That's fine, right? You don't have to agree with all the specifics. I don't think I agree with any of my teachers on everything, right? But the point is, your teacher gives you the tools, right? How to open these books, how to preserve the science. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So it's very, very important to process, right? Thing to click, right? So many people think they actually have this idea that things just exist out there in space, right? That things don't exist out there in space. There's manuscripts, there's concepts, and we need, and this is how the deen works, right? So here's a PDF. This is a translation of what? Of a print. Okay, a print of what? Critical edition of manuscript. Where's the manuscript? How did it reach us? Where is it found? That's the deen, right? If you don't know where those things are, then there's no deen. Right? Okay, hey. Okay, where do we get to? Oh, 9, 8, right? 9, 9. أوكي، حدثنا علي قال حدثنا مروان بن معاوية قال حدثنا عبد الواحد بن أيمن قال حدثنا عبيد بن رفاعة الزرقي عن أبيه قال لما كان يوم أحد وانكفأ المشركون قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم استووا حتى أثني على ربي عز وجل فصاروا خلفه صفوفا فقال اللهم لك الحمد كله اللهم لا قابض لما بسطته ولا مقرب لما باعدته ولا مباعد لما قربته ولا معطي لما منعته ولا مانع لما أعطيت اللهم ابسط علينا من بركاتك ورحمتك وفضلك ورزقك اللهم إني أسألك النعيم المقيم الذي لا يحول ولا يزول اللهم إني أسألك النعيم يوم العيلة والأمن يوم الخوف اللهم أعذا بك من سوء ما أعطيتنا وشر ما منعت منا اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم توفنا مسلمين وأحينا مسلمين وألحقنا بالصالحين غير خزايا ولا مفتونين اللهم قاتل الكفرة الذين يصدون عن سبيلك ويكذبون رسلك واجعل عليهم رجسك وعذابك اللهم قاتل الكفرة الذين أوتوا الكتاب إله الحق قال علي وسمعته من محمد بن بشر وأسنده ولا أجيء به. Okay, Bismillah.
Ifa Zuhri said, in the Battle of Uhud, when the idolaters retreated, the Messenger of Allah, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, said, Form straight ranks so that I can praise my Almighty Lord. They formed in ranks behind him. He said, O Allah, all praise is due to you. O Allah, none can contract what you expand, nor bring near what you put far away. None can put far away what you bring near. None can give what you withhold, nor withhold what you give. O Allah, expand to us some of your blessings, mercy, and favor, and give us provision. O Allah, I ask you for the abiding blessing which is neither changed nor removed. O Allah, I ask you for your blessing on the day of the utter poverty and security on the day of fear. O Allah, I
Notice,
seek
notice,
refuge.
notice where the process of heart is. So you can imagine you're like, obviously, war is deeply emotional, right? So winning, losing, like you're kind of engaged, you're stuck in this thing of winning and losing, like you just won a bit. So your heart is here, like we just won a bit. So the process of saying, I'm not interested in this bliss that we've just won a bit. I'm interested in the bliss that doesn't remain, that doesn't last, that doesn't disappear, right? I'm not interested in being safe from this current danger. I'm interested in being safe from that danger, right? So the Prophet his heart is pulled away from the dunya and pulled to the akhirah. He's not looking at the dunya. Win or lose in the dunya, it's not a big deal. Uh, you know, danger in the dunya is not danger. That is not danger, right? Success in the dunya, you didn't achieve anything. That's not an achievement, right? The akhirah, that's an achievement. That's a danger. That's a punishment, right? So you have to understand where his heart is and what he's pulling the Muslims away from this thing. Like I'm here, and his center is at another total place, right? Go ahead.
O Allah, I seek refuge with you from the evil of what you give us. O Allah, make us love belief and adore our hearts with it. Make us hate disbelief, deviance, and rebellion. Place us among the rightly guided. O
Good.
Allah, make us
So
die.
what's this dua based on? He's saying حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. Which surah is he echoing? وحبب إليهم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبهم وكره إليهم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون. Right? Surah Al-Hujurat. So he's echoing that, right? He's echoing that dua, that ayah. Allahumma.
O Allah, make us die Muslims and make us live as Muslims and join us to the rightly acting who are neither disappointed nor afflicted. O Allah, fight the unbelievers who bar your path and deny your messengers. Place you at abasement and punishment. Place your abasement and punishment over them. O Allah, fight the unbelievers who were given the book, O Lord of truth.
So then he says, وقال علي وسمعته من محمد بن بشر وأسنده ولا أجيء به. So he mentions another chain. He says, look, there's another chain. So Imam Bukhari's teacher, Ali here, he said, I have another chain for it, but I don't know it properly. Right? So somebody who spoke, did they sound quite frank? Or they kind of like he's like, I have another source for it, but I don't know it properly. Does he sound somebody who's quite frank? Or is he someone trying to hide his own faults? What does it sound like? Somebody who is trying to basically make claims, or somebody who is quite frank and you know about like, yeah, there's some other sources I have for this hadith, but I don't know them properly, right? Is everyone following? Ubaid, Santiago, Yusuf. So Imam Bukhari, his teacher for this hadith, he said, look, I have another source for it, and I have another chain for it, but I don't know it properly. So when you hear this kind of language from these hadith narrators, and it's not the first time, right? Last week or the week before, it's like, yeah, I made there's a mistake somewhere in this hadith. I don't know where it is, right? You know, remember there was like a list of like 4 things. He said that there was 4 things, but one of them I added, and I can't remember which one I added, right? So that's pretty important, right? So it means like these people they're quite frank about their about who they are, so that they seem trustworthy, people that you can trust. Like if they doubted something, they'd tell us, you know? They're not just going to make claims that they know things they're not sure about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And it's not just one off. It's like there's a general theme, like this is how it is. It's not people just telling stories. There are people who are telling things, they're frank, there's information about them, there's errors that we know about them. It's like a critiquable system, as opposed to this uncritiquable system, right? So again, this as you're shifting from the shepherd Muslim to the sheep Muslim to the shepherd Muslim, right? You are, you start to realize you can critique things, right? But there's many religions that are actually uncritiquable. Like there's no way you can even just start even critique. You either believe or you don't. You either like the idea or you don't like the idea. That's it. Like there's no way to critique. Whereas here's like, no, you can start questioning narrators. Look at these people. Look at that. Like any conclusion, any statement, you can take it apart. Meaning it's critiquable. You could find out the source of it. Where is the claim being made? What is the logic, etc. Does that make sense? Does it not make sense? Okie dokie. So then he has a new chapter, and we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. So we are approximately halfway through the book. Right? We started a year ago, is that right? Something about a year ago?
I think more because I joined a year ago and we were already like really far into the book.
Oh, okay. So the hadith we're past halfway, and we're past halfway, but I think so. I think probably another year. Allahu A'lam. Maybe less than that, inshallah. Okay, وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.